Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about one of the hardest modules ever in the electronics. So today we want to talk about the Sim800L. You need to have a checklist and check every part to have a successful project. Number one is the power. You need to have a good power. One of the worst things that you can do is you use the pinouts on the Arduinos. If you use the pinouts that they made on the board itself, it's somehow tricky and not good. So first thing you should do is to buy another module that I showed the photo on the page. You can now see it. This module is called, I think, DC to DC converter. You can use it to have a good power and use the Sim800L. The next thing that you should do is to use a capacitor. It's so good because somehow when this module wants to send SMS or find a network, it uses a lot of power. So you need to use a capacitor. I suggest 16 volt and 2200 micro, so it's good and you can use it that way. I made a PCB that I use for my Sim800Ls. You can now see it. It's so good. I use the capacitor. There is a header pins I use for put my module on it and some wires to get out the data. Number 3, the serial. In the development boards, we have two serials, hardware serial and software serial. So if you use the software serial, it's okay, no problem, but it's a little hard to make it okay and it's a little hard to program it. So why am I saying that? You can see that we have some transmit receive on these pinouts on the development board and you should use the hardware serial. But let's talk about that. If you use a software serial, you will have some lags. For example, bad characters or somehow this is stuff. But if you use the hardware serial, it's more reliable and better. So the next thing that we should talk about and all of this stuff is to check the baud rate. You can now see my baud rate on the terminal. It's the best baud rate that you can use because the highest the better, and I think it's the highest one that you can use. If you use the development board that have only one hardware serial and you use it for programming, then you should use the software serial. And okay, so there's a question that if you have the software serial, what baud rate should you use? You cannot use the hardware serial baud rate. You should use the new baud rate that you can see on the video. But I suggest that you use the hardware serial, and if you really need the hardware serial in the development boards that have only one hardware port and there is no way just the software serial, okay, you can use the software serial with this baud rate and it will work very good. The next thing that I think it's one of the most important parts of buying this module is to check the IMEI. You know, there is something on this module, you can see it, the IMEI. The IMEI is a unique code that the module uses to talk to the network of the others' phones, cell phones, and all of this stuff. So when you want to buy these modules, there are a lot of IMEIs you can see and a lot of things you can buy. For example, I downloaded some photos from the Amazon. I put it there to see it. You can see that one of the IMEIs is too short and one of them is too long. The characters are the same, the number of the characters, but the font is different. So there are from different factories. The best way that you can assure that your module will work is to search the IMEI of your device in this site. There's a link in the description of this site and you can see it. If your module is okay, then you can use it, have fun. But if you cannot find this IMEI on this website, then you have a problem. So what's the problem? The problem is that the IMEI will not work in some countries and some MNOs. What's MNO? It's the mobile network operator, the company that you buy your SIM card from there. They check the IMEI. As a matter of fact, the module send it to them. to be registered in the network. But what's the problem when it's not valid in some countries? For example, it works in some countries, but you cannot use it in the others. It's a little complicated. But how to make it okay to work? After a little time that the device starts to work, after a little time that your device starts to work, the MNO realize that it's a fake IMEI, or it's not okay, there's a problem with IMEI and all of this stuff. So what protocol do they use? They kick the module out of the network. So it's not a good thing. But there's a question. I bought a module that IMEI cannot be registered. So what should I do? I cannot, give it back or all of this stuff. There is a solution to that. You can use a pin on your module. There is a pin, if you look at the photo, its name is reset. You can connect the reset pin to one of the digital pins of your development board and use it to reset the module. But the question is when we should reset it. We can use the libraries, check the system that where is the problem. In each loop, when the module is disconnected, you send the reset order, it will reset and the module will work for 1 minute or 2 minutes more. Again, the MNO kicks out and you should reset it again. At the end, let's check again our checklist. Number 1, the power. You should use the power. I talked about that. The DC to DC converter. This module can work. I use that. Number 2 is the capacitor. 16 volt, 2200 micro. You can use it. It will good. Number 3 is the hardware serial. So we talked about that. You should use the hardware serial, but if you can't, you can use the software serial with a good baud rate that both of them are in the video. And the last one is IMEI. The website that checks the IMEI is on the description. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to have the latest news about AIs, machine learning, programming, network security, and electronics. And all of my social page and networks and all of this stuff are in the description. You can check them. Also my GitHub page, I will put my programs there. I will answer any questions about this module, development boards, and all of this stuff in the comments. You can ask any questions you have about the Sim800L. I will answer them. And make sure to enable the notifications, like the video. See you later.